Welcome to the Drunken Zombies Podcast, your daily dose of blood guts and gut-busting terror.
That's right.
Every day we bring you a brand new zombie story packed with suspense, horror, and a little bit of that twisted fun we all love.
It wouldn't be us without it.
You know we love zombies, even though they scare the hell out of us.
They really do.
And we also love watching people try to survive them, which they usually fail at miserably.
Miserably. It's more fun that way, though, right?
Exactly. To help us break down today's apocalypse, we have our resident expert in all things undead, Julia, the analytical mind behind the madness.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be back, though I gotta say I'm still hoping for a zombie unicorn episode, preferably one that doesn't fly.
No promises on that.
I know.
But Julia's here to help separate fact from folklore, and today we're tackling a particularly wild encounter, a truly terrifying new breed of undead, flying zombies.
You know, when these things first started popping up, reports were dismissed as just survivor psychosis.
Which, I mean, is understandable. 5 years into a zombie apocalypse, people are going to have a hard time processing anything.
Exactly.
But what started as rumors quickly turned into a deadly reality. A routine supply run uncovered the truth in the most terrifying way imaginable.
That's right.
So before we get into this story, if you're enjoying the Drunken Zombies podcast, make sure you rate and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. It helps keep the zombies at bay, or at least it helps us make more episodes.
We like to think it does both.
Okay, so setting the scene. 5 years after the initial outbreak, humanity is clinging to existence.
Oh, yeah.
In those quarantined suburbs, walled-off recovery zones, trying to create some semblance of order.
Trying to rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. There was a sense of, tentative recovery, fragile hope.
Yeah.
But this encounter, this new airborne threat, really highlights how delicate that recovery is.
Absolutely.
So our focus today is Zara.
A pilot hardened by the apocalypse.
Oh, she's tough.
She's making a routine supply run to a remote settlement near Montreal. And for Zara, flying's not just a way to get from point A to point B.
It's an escape. A temporary reprieve from the memories, from the constant reminders of loss and the ever-present danger on the ground.
Makes sense. But the thing is, even the sky isn't safe anymore.
Oh, no.
Definitely not.
So Zara and her co-pilot Benji, they spot something off in the distance.
Yeah, this is where it gets real creepy.
So there's this dark, purposeful smudge against the setting sun. And it's moving unlike anything they've ever seen.
Like a flock of birds or anything?
Not at all. And, in the back of their minds, they've heard these whispers, these rumors about flying zombies.
Right. Which they dismissed, as you said, as, people losing it after 5 years of this hell.
Yeah.
But then suddenly they have to face the possibility that these rumors are terrifyingly real.
Because this smudge is moving with purpose. It's like it's hunting.
Oh, yeah. And that's when things go from milk run to shitstorm, as Zara puts it.
Love that.
I know, right?
So Zara, being the experienced pilot she is, she tells Benji to strap in. And I just can't imagine the feeling in that helicopter as this swarm, this horde of flying undead starts to approach. And a guttural moan, it begins to rise from the swarm. Chills.
It's like straight out of a nightmare, but you gotta admit there's something undeniably fascinating about the concept of flying zombies.
I mean, yeah, in a morbid kind of way.
It's like zombie evolution took a really bizarre turn,
Definitely.
But back to the story, Zara banks the helicopter to its limits trying to get a better look. What do they see? Dozens, possibly hundreds of these things.
Whirling like biblical locusts. And just the image of that is terrifying.
It is. And remember Jess in the back? The newbie. Well, her first reaction is almost one of awe.
Because she's never seen anything like it before.
Right. But Zara's quick to bring her back to reality.
Because awe won't keep you alive in a zombie apocalypse.
No, it will not. And their destination, this walled-off settlement near Montreal, it's a picture of desperation. This outpost clinging to existence just outside the supposed safety of the heavily fortified zones.
So close, but so far.
Right. It's like that thin line between relative safety and utter chaos.
And that line is about to be crossed because one of these flying zombies breaks formation. It just darts out with impossible speed. Rotting flesh, skeletal frame, tattered wings. Zara says it had this disturbingly intelligent gaze. Like it was hungry, and it knew exactly what it wanted.
It's that intelligence that really gets under your skin,
Oh, yeah. Because you're so used to zombies being these mindless, shambling things. But this is something else.
Right. It's scary enough when they're on the ground. Imagine them with the ability to hunt from the air.
So this thing slams into the windshield.
Yeah.
And, they're in this tiny helicopter. Suddenly they're under attack by a flying zombie. There's this screech of claws on glass, and Zara just barely manages to pull up.
Some serious piloting skills there.
Oh, yeah. But while Zara's focused on not crashing, Benji's doing a frantic perimeter scan.
Panicking a bit.
Yeah. Because all their intel, all the reports said nothing about flying zombies.
And that's the thing about intel in a zombie apocalypse. It's often outdated or just plain wrong.
Yeah. But in the chaos, they spot something. Heat signatures.
In a barn.
Exactly. Could be survivors.
You gotta be careful, though.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to find. So they do a quick flyover.
Just to check it out.
And that's when they see it. The barn is already swarming with regular zombies.
And Zara has this chilling realization.
The flying zombies might be hurting them.
Which implies some level of strategy.
Exactly. It's not just random attacks anymore. There's something more sinister going on, something we've never encountered before.
It's wild, right? It really makes you think about how the zombie threat could evolve in ways we haven't even imagined.
And it makes you wonder, what else are we missing?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's shift perspective. Inside the barn, we've got Kai. He's up in the hayloft, watching this whole scene unfold.
With this manic amusement.
After 5 years of this, he's seen it all.
He's not easily fazed.
No.
And you know what? Despite the chaos, Kai's sharp.
Oh, he is?
He's like, okay, these flying zombies, they can't climb. Their bones are hollow legs are too fragile. He immediately starts planning.
Okay, how can I use this to my advantage?
Right. He's got this plan involving rebar.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, Jess, she's down on the ground.
Yeah, she went with him.
Yeah, she's terrified, obviously. But also, there's a flicker of curiosity in her eyes.
That's the thing about humans. Even in the face of horror, we can't help but be fascinated.
Totally. And Kai sees that in her. He sees that hidden steel and he approves.
He knows she's got what it takes to survive.
Yeah. And then there's Mateo.
Oh, Mateo, our resident scientist.
He's in the shadowed corner of the loft with a modified weather balloon and compressed air, looking all skeptical and annoyed.
Yeah. He's not a fan of Kai's impulsive methods.
Not at all.
He's like, you're going to get us all killed. But Kai doesn't really care. He's all about action. And Mateo's over there worried about the long game.
The future of the apocalypse, which is fair.
It is. But right now, they got to deal with the immediate threat. The zombies are literally breaking down the door.
And just as a barricade collapses, a flying zombie swoops in through the opening.
Oh, man.
But Kai's ready. He spears it with that rebar. Like a pro.
I told you he was ready.
He's like, all right, game time. And he and Jess, they rappel down into the mayhem.
Right into the middle of it.
It's crazy. They're using themselves as bait to draw the flyers' attention while the regular zombies are all focused on the breach in the wall.
It's a high-risk, high-reward plan.
Definitely high risk.
But it seems to be working for now.
But these flying zombies, they're way more maneuverable than anyone expected. One of them almost gets Jess. And in the process, Kai gets scratched.
Oh, man. That's never good.
And close up, Zara was right. They smell terrible.
I bet. Okay, but here's where it gets interesting. Mateo, Mr. Science over here.
Right, always tinkering.
He actually comes up with a solution. He uses those inflated balloon canisters to lift the two territorial flyers that crashed to the ground.
It's the most absurdly brilliant thing ever.
It is. Who would think of that?
Only Mateo.
But it works. They're out of commission. And just then, the sound of Zara's helicopter returning, she manages to land in a cleared field.
Looking all disapproving, what the hell are you thinking?
Yeah, she's pissed.
Yeah.
And Kai, being Kai, he's all sarcastic, just playing tag with the new neighbors.
He's got jokes.
Always. But he notices something, a flicker of something, almost like respect in Zara's eyes.
Because she knows they just survived something insane.
And Kai realizes something, too. These new zombies, they've changed everything.
The whole game has changed.
Exactly. Okay, but now let's jump back into Mateo's head for a second.
Right. Into the mind of the scientist.
So he hates those labs he's working in.
They're claustrophobic, morbid.
Full of reminders of what went wrong. And he's carrying this huge weight of guilt.
Because remember his research on high-altitude drone swarms? Well, it turns out that's where this whole flying plague started.
Oh, man. Talk about unintended consequences.
Right. It's like a classic horror trope. The scientist's creation turns against humanity.
And Mateo, he's isolated by this secret. Nobody else knows.
Yeah, he's shouldering this burden alone.
So he throws himself into his work, trying to find a weakness in the flyers.
To atone for his past mistakes.
Exactly. And he does. He discovers this fragile resonant frequency in their bone structure, a way to fight back.
A glimmer of hope.
Okay, back to the barn. Mateo's got this makeshift workshop set up,
Yeah, he's got wires and speakers and all sorts of crazy stuff.
and Kai's looking at it all like, what the hell is this? A beat-down karaoke machine?
He's skeptical.
Of course he is. He almost died fighting one of these things.
Yeah.
But Mateo starts explaining this complex scientific stuff about electromagnetic waves and harmonic frequency patterns and cellular degeneration.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. And Zara's like, can you just tell me if this thing can stop a flying zombie from ripping my head off?
Cut to the chase.
Exactly. Mateo's like, theoretically, yes, but I need to test it.
So he shows them this modified drone controller.
Right. And he explains that the right frequency can cause a rapid breakdown in the flyer's skeletal structure.
Yeah.
Like they'll just crumble in midair.
Which sounds amazing.
It does. But they're all wary.
Because it's untested.
Right. And then Jess asks this very practical question, what's the range on this thing?
Because that's important.
It is. And Mateo's like, I don't know exactly, but it should be enough if we can get the flyers in a concentrated formation.
Which means they need a plan.
A risky one.
But they don't have a lot of options.
So Kai, he's all in.
He's got that crazy grin.
And Zara, she's hesitant, but she agrees.
With a stern warning to Mateo, like, if this doesn't work, we're all screwed.
The pressure is on.
Big time.
Okay, so here's the plan. Benji's going to be the bait.
Brave Benji.
He's going to fly the R-66 helicopter.
And blast amplified bird calls.
This is a zombie dinner bell.
Pretty much. And while he's drawing the flyers, and Kai and Jess are setting up these salvage stadium speakers on the ground.
So they could hit the whole swarm with the sonic wave.
And Zara's watching the horizon, anxiously waiting for the signal.
Every second counts.
Mateo is working furiously, inputting the final sequence on his controller. The pressure is immense.
And then the speakers emit this low frequency, a barely audible hum.
Jess yells something, but nobody can hear her over the sound.
And Mateo's ears are ringing. He's pushing the tech to its absolute limit.
Suddenly, a distant screech. The swarm is reacting.
Dark shapes start spinning and falling from the sky.
It's working.
It is. The flyers are drawn to that pulsating whine.
They're like moths to a flame.
Mateo's pushing the frequency higher.
The swarm is in chaos.
They're falling out of the sky, bones crumpling and shattering in midair.
Kai lets out a whoop.
And Zara drops an F-bomb.
That's how you know it's serious.
Right. By the time Benji lands the helicopter, the once formidable flock is a gruesome carpet of bone and rotting flesh.
The stench is overpowering.
Zara can't even look at it. Mateo's exhausted. He can barely stand.
He's drained.
Yeah. But he pushes himself to search the wreckage.
Because he has to know.
He finds one.
A
flyer, still gasping for air, empty eye sockets staring accusingly up at him. And Mateo is hit with this wave of guilt.
Like he's the monster who did a monstrous thing to survive.
And she asks, did we get them all?
And Mateo realizes they didn't.
And they never will.
There will always be more.
And maybe that's the scariest thought of all. Because even if they beat the zombies, humanity itself might be the real threat.
It's a bleak outlook.
But Kai, he puts an arm around Mateo and said, hey, we won this round. Focus on that.
It's like a moment of unexpected kindness.
Yeah. And Mateo manages a weak smile. Because in this world, you got to keep moving forward. Even with the weight of guilt, the weight of survival on your shoulders.
So true. And then Zara appears. And she looks at Mateo and says, you find what you were looking for in there, Teach.
She knows. She knows about his past.
And Mateo lies.
But he feels relief, not shame.
Because in this world, the weapon's effectiveness outweighs its origin.
It's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
Zara gives him this nod like she understands. And she says, keep that weapon aimed true.
They load up the helicopter.
Back into the sky.
Because survival is constant motion.
Exactly. But there's a glimmer of hope. Benji tries to lighten the mood. He asks about food.
And Kai offers to teach him how to base jump.
Like they're finding ways to cope, to find joy, even in this hellscape.
And Mateo, he sees this budding camaraderie.
And Jess, she says, maybe someday when things are less crazy, you can teach me about physics.
Like she's imagining a future.
A future where they can rebuild.
Yeah.
Where they can find meaning beyond just surviving. And Mateo agrees. Because despite the scars, the burdens they share, they've found a new foundation. A reason to keep fighting.
It's beautiful in a way.
It is. And as darkness falls, Mateo's mind is already on the future. On fine-tuning his disruptor. On protecting those he cares about.
They found a small victory today.
They did. They found hope in the darkness.
And a campfire to gather around.
Flying zombies. Who would have thought? I mean, it really shows you how anything can happen in a zombie apocalypse.
It makes you question everything you thought you knew about survival, right?
Oh, yeah. And that ending, with Mateo's invention turning the tide. Talk about turning your past mistakes into a weapon against the undead.
It's a powerful image, and it really highlights the ingenuity and adaptability that's essential for making it in this kind of world.
And the resilience of the human spirit, even when faced with the most terrifying odds.
It gives you a little bit of hope, doesn't it?
It does. But it also makes you wonder what other terrifying surprises the zombie apocalypse might have in store for us.
I don't even want to think about it.
Right. The chilling thought. But that's what we're here for on the Drunken Zombies podcast. To explore those dark corners of the imagination, to bring you fresh, terrifying zombie stories every single day. So if you're enjoying our show, be sure to rate, follow, and share us with your fellow horror fans. It helps keep the undead at bay.
At least in our minds.
Exactly. Until tomorrow, stay vigilant and maybe keep an eye on the skies. You never know what might be lurking up there.
That's good advice.
Thanks, Julia. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.